I didn't see you there. Welcome to Movies with Matt. I'm your host, Matt Torello, and it is truly a privilege and honor to introduce you to this new show courtesy of Kane TV. So I know you're probably thinking here, Movies with Matt, what is this? Is this like some sort of like short film compilation type thing? No, that is not what that is, because I don't have the creativity to do that. No. This show will offer you insights into movies, and I will also give you analysis on either films, directors' works, or even franchises. Not Marvel, though, because the overall goal here is to give you more perspective into the movies you either know, or even ones you might want to watch yourself. In other words, I want you to watch other movies. You don't want to be stuck watching nothing but Netflix schlock for the rest of your lives. Come on! What's another To the Boys I've Loved Before sequel to all these movies I'm going to teach you? Come on! Pick the ladder! Pick the ladder! Sorry, I got a little excited there. But for this first episode, I thought we'd start with something a little simple. So today, we will be discussing the 1955 movie simply titled Marty. And before you ask, no, it is not the zebra from Madagascar. Why would you even ask that? No, this Marty follows the titular 34-year-old Italian-American butcher, played by Ernest Borgnine. Evil! As he deals with a stagnant life with friends not knowing what to do for the weekend, heartbreak, and a mother, played by Esner Menicotti, pressure him to find someone to marry. Marriage. Am I right? Being forced to go to a dance hall, Marty stumbles onto a schoolteacher named Clara, played by wife of legendary actor Gene Kelly, Betsy Blair, and starts a romance while his mother and friends seemingly don't actually want him to find his true love. Oh my gosh. Very broad summary, I know, but that's because I actually want you to watch the movie, and if you continue watching this without watching the movie, well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to discuss it. So you're lost, but I hope this allows you to watch the movie. But from the seemingly basic romantic comedy template stands a simple, quiet drama that is brought up a million times up thanks to its brilliant actors and writing. Now, who wrote this movie? This was written by a man named Paddy Chayefsky, an acclaimed screenwriter who later go on to write films such as the 1976 classic Network, in which he won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for that. It's funny because this movie was actually based on a script he already written for television, for the Philco Television Playhouse to be exact. It was like a 50-minute version with Rod Steiger, from On the Waterfront, Sergio Leone's Duck You Sucker, that guy. You also probably know him from In the Heat of the Night. Yeah, he played Marty in that version. But also returning from the television play was director Delbert Mann, who Marty, the 1955 movie, would be his first directorial debut in Hollywood. Hollywood, where no one wants to go anymore. Now, Marty went on to win 3 Oscars, including Best Director and Best Picture. It also remains one of the 3 movies to win both Best Picture at the Oscars and the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Ah, the French. Oui, oui. The other 2 being Billy Wilder's 1945 classic The Lost Weekend, and, in more recent years, Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. Now we have the main actor, Marty. Who is it? Ernest Borgnine, who also won for Best Actor in the movie. He'll later go on and be featured in films such as The Dirty Dozen, The Wild Bunch, John Carpenter's Escape from New York, and most notably, if you couldn't tell from my earlier reference, you may know him as Mermaid Man on SpongeBob. So I'd say I improved your childhood just a little bit. I don't want to brag, but evil! Evil! I mean, really, why am I talking to you about a movie you would probably, skip over on the movie channels? You just, go on, go on Showtime and be like, oh, what's this? Oh, this movie's so boring. I want to watch something else. Let me watch, I don't know, one of the movie sequels for, a 50th time. Yay, that's a great thing to do. But for me, what I think makes Marty a good movie is that it's very small scale, but manages to get across, such realistic, rejection and stagnation from those around you. Those are really the themes of the movie. It's like, life can be, like, really hard, rough, tough. Marty's a lonely man. He's been rejected his whole life. You know, which gives a spin-off on, like, romantic movies at the time, because, like, usually you'd be, like, boy meets girl. Oh, they're love, love, love. No, not Marty. Every woman rejects him. If this movie came out today, he'd probably be a gamer. Okay, granted, this movie still falls into, you know, maybe the more ideal concepts of romance, like, be seen as dated, but, you know, it's the 50s, so, like, that was when they're like, oh, the nuclear family, that's, like, the greatest thing ever. Who thinks the nuclear family is great? But for 1955 audiences, sorry for that little tirade, it can be very possible that this was more of a fresh idea that some people just didn't, that some people just don't find anyone and can be just lonely, you know? Like Shrek. You know, there's a scene early on where, like, Marty calls a woman and that he and his friend Angie, like, met a month prior. And I love that scene because, like, it's like the camera keeps slowly into Marty's face as, like, he tries to talk to her, and then he gets, like, turned down. Now, we don't hear the other end of the call, but, like, Borgnine's acting, like, it says it all. Like you just see him, like, from nervously optimistic, and he's like, hey, you remember me? Yeah, you want to hang out? You just see him, like, emotionally defeated afterward. I'm like, that was, like, really powerful, and also, like, that was way too real. You know, not to mention that, like, Marty finds himself, like, stuck in a cycle, you know? Like a bicycle. He works as a butcher, he's, like, taking care of his mom, he's dealing with indecisive friends on weekend plans. In fact, one of the most, like, iconic lines from the movie is like, so what do you want to do? And it's like, I'm paraphrasing. Like, what do you want to do today? I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do today? I don't know, what do you want to do? Like, people are, like, so indecisive these days. All of it, to me, comes to head in the scene where Marty, like, tries to get out of his mom's suggestion to go to the Stardust Ball. Like, his insistence that he's a ugly, fat man who will die alone, like, jeez. Like, that's just heartbreaking. And, like, fun fact, like, apparently this was the scene, like, Borgnine auditioned with, and, like the director was, like, crying, and he's like, he gets the role. I'm like, I can see why. But you can understand, because, like, Marty's, like, tired, because, like, everyone's always like, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? Like, Jesus, like, leave him alone. He's just trying to do the best he can. But he wants that connection, but, like, you know, sometimes, like, society has, unrealistic ideals for physical attraction, and, you know, especially in the 50s, so, yeah, like, Marty's a little heavier, therefore, a lot of women see him as a freak. And to those people, they didn't deserve him. They really didn't deserve him. It's why when he eventually goes to the ball, and he finds Clara, and he finally feels like he's formed a connection with someone else, and I think that's where, like, the best scenes in the movie are really just him and Claire, Marty and Claire, just walking through the Bronx at night. Like, this film was filmed in the Bronx. And I feel like this is, like, kind of an essential New York City movie. I mean, you got all, like, your essential movies set in the city. God knows how many movies are set in the city. Like, it's not flashy or anything. You don't, like, see, like, the Statue of Liberty. You don't see the building. No. Like, you're just seeing, like, the everyday neighborhood. Like the usual Italian neighborhood in the Bronx. And I think that's sometimes more interesting, because, like, you just see these everyday people, like, in just, like, this whole film, like, takes place in, like, what, a weekend? Yeah, like, takes place in, like, a weekend. Plus, I think these scenes help Clara and Marty really form a bond, as both of them are just sort of rejects by their physical appearance. I mean, Clara's called a dog. Really, we're gonna call the wife of Gene Kelly a dog? Gene Kelly better, like, dance kick your butt. Why did I even say that? I have no idea. Now, Clara, she finally finds someone that she can be around, especially given that in her, like, first few scenes, she was with a date that left her for someone else. And he literally asked Marty that he would pay her to take her home instead of himself. I know what he's getting afterwards. when we get those scenes where like Marty's just like talking, like he really like talks because like for once in his life he's actually found someone he wants to talk to about stuff. You know, he even openly admits it. He keeps like, I'm just talking. But he's like honestly glad. But then there's like a point where like his sheer openness, like later, like it gives him more insight to the deep depression he feels. I'm like I don't want to talk about those scenes because like, I feel like you need to watch them to understand. But it's like I said, like this hits too hard. But also, Clara helps Marty like see life beyond his everyday life. Like, there's a whole thing where like apparently like his boss is planning to sell the butcher shop, and he wants to give it to Marty. So she's like, why don't you buy the butcher shop? And he even has ideas like expand to like a whole like supermarket thing. And I'm like, yes, Marty, make it into a ShopRite. You do you. Or A&P. I don't know what supermarket exists in the 50s. Well, on that note, Betsy Blair, like, you know, gives a great performance. She almost didn't get the part because she was blacklisted by Hollywood. Because remember, folks, this was the 50s. This was during the Red Scare, the Cold War. In other words, if Hollywood thought you were a communist, you ain't getting a role. In fact, actor Gene Kelly, again her husband, threatened to leave his role in a different movie if she didn't get the role. And that's what I call a boss move by Gene Kelly. Probably made them sing in the rain, crying. Good job, Gene. But back on to Betsy Blair, I like how like her character Clara, she's a little more reserved compared to like Marty's more eccentric personality when they're together. But like, but it's not in that way where it's like, oh, like, ugh, this weirdo. But no, she actually genuinely like finds him interesting. And I think that's very interesting to me. Like, there's chemistry in their numerous scenes, and there's like a true romance brewing. But sadly, there, you know those like people that are like, oh, you want to change? You're like, no, you have to stay with us, you know. Well, that's unfortunately what happens because Marty's mom does a complete 180 because like she like talks to like her sister who's about to be abandoned by her own children, and she's like, if Marty gets married, you won't get anyone to take care of you. And she really takes this to heart because like there's one scene where Marty brings Clara home, and Marty's mom like it's nice to her at first, but then like later she's like, I don't want you to see this girl anymore. I'm like, gee, he's 34 and you're still controlling his life? Sadly, that keeps happening. Glad Britney Spears is doing okay. But even his friends like don't like her. Like they still call her a dog. Like, come on. Y'all are rude. And Angie's like mad because like Marty left him at the ball with Clara. I'm like, dude, you would have done the same thing. Come on. And then like there's like I want to say Marty's cousin or something or brother. Like they're going through like, a little bit of relationship problems because Marty's mom's sister was like living with them and she was like bothering them, and they forced her to move in with Marty and his mom. And he's all like telling Marty like, don't get married. That's what the guy's like, don't get married, please. You don't want to deal with it. And to me, it's where the ending really comes in because like he like was supposed to call Clara for like a date the next day, and he never did because like his mom and friends were like, don't date this girl. Like why is his personal life like your problem? Like leave him alone. Leave him alone. And this is where we get to the ending, one of the most cathartic endings I think in any movie, where like they're all doing that. What do you want to do today? And then he's all like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do today? What am I doing hanging with you guys? I got something good here. And he goes to the phone, and in like it was like one of those pay phones because you know they still had pay phones, you know, like those things where Superman always like. But anyway, he goes off and it's like, you don't like her, fine, but I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna call her. I'm gonna go on a date with her, and if things work out, maybe we'll get married someday. If you don't like it, that's too bad. I'm like, yes, Marty, you tell her, you tell him. No one gets away with your love life. But here's the funny thing is that the ending I think is really weird in a good way because like it ends like very like unsure. Because you hear him as like, hello, Clara, and then it just ends. Do they ever get together? We don't know. But to me, I think, overall, what I think Marty is it's just a good movie. It's a quick 90-minute movie. Like, It doesn't take up much of your time, and it's cute. It's greatly acted. It's got some smart dialogue in it too. And honestly, I think it's a must-watch for everyone, especially if you're a lonely little boy or lonely man. I don't know, one of the two. So, what is my rating for this? Well, ratings are arbitrary at the end of the day, but I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It's a great movie. Highly recommend it. And you know what? I'm glad that almost a TV-looking movie won Best Picture. That's the only time you'll ever hear me say that. But now, with that said, that's the end of this first episode. Thank you once again for joining the first ever episode of Movies with Matt. I hope you continue this journey with me. Join us next time when I'm going to be joined by a special guest star, Brandon, to discuss the works of John Carpenter because it's spooky season. But until then, I've been Matt. And go watch a movie when you have the free time. Or not, I don't care. But watch a movie. See you soon.